Hello, and welcome back to Wild Sanative. I'm so grateful you chose to spend a little time with me today. Thank you for being here. Over the last several episodes, we've been exploring love. We reflected on what love really is. We asked where we first learned about love. We've explored what we may need to unlearn about love. Together, we've begun to see that healing is not simply about changing our behavior. It is about changing our understanding. Today, I'd like to share what helped me begin doing that. People sometimes ask me why spirituality became such an important part of my healing journey, and the answer may not be what they expect. I wasn't searching for another religion. I wasn't searching for someone to tell me what to believe. I was searching for wisdom. I was searching for understanding. I was searching for a way to make sense of a world that often felt confusing, painful, and deeply divided. And after my son died, I found myself asking questions I had never truly asked before. And these weren't small questions. Questions that reached into the very heart of what it means to be human. Why are people so cruel to one another? Why do people intentionally exclude, ridicule, shame, or bully another human being? Why do some people continue hurting others without ever stopping to reflect on the consequences? How do children learn these patterns so early in life? Why do so many believe that aggression, dominance, or exclusion somehow gives them power or makes them feel safe? And perhaps the hardest question of all, how did humanity become so disconnected from its own heart? These weren't philosophical questions for me. They were deeply personal. My son had endured relentless bullying, and the cruelty he experienced slowly diminished his spirit until he believed death was easier than continuing to live. And that reality shattered my heart. And for a long time I carried anger. And I wanted someone to blame. I wanted answers. I wanted to understand how human beings could treat another person with such disregard for another's dignity and humanity. But eventually something shifted. I realized that if I truly wanted to honor my son's life, I couldn't remain only in my anger. I needed understanding. Not because understanding excuses harmful behavior, because it doesn't, but because understanding allows healing to begin. And that journey eventually led me toward teachings that emphasize awareness, compassion, responsibility, discernment, and conscious living. The teachings themselves were never valuable to me simply because they were spiritual. They became valuable to me because they gave me practical ways to live differently. They taught me how to pause before reacting, how to observe my thoughts instead of believing every one of them, how to ask better questions, how to recognize my own unconscious patterns, how to become more patient, more compassionate, more honest with myself, and perhaps most importantly, they taught me that healing always begins within. As difficult as it was, I eventually realized that if I wanted to help create a kinder world, I also had to look honestly at myself. Where was I still reacting from fear? Where was I still judging? Where was I withholding compassion? Where had my own pain hardened my heart? And that was one of the most humbling lessons of my life. Healing was no longer about changing everyone else. It became about changing the kind of human being I hoped more people would become. And that is what these teachings gave me. Not perfection, not certainty, not all the answers. They gave me a way of living, a way of meeting life with greater clarity, patience, responsibility, compassion, and love. And that has become one of the foundations of Wild Sanative. From this point forward, I'd like to begin sharing some of those teachings with you. Not to tell you what to believe, but to share the wisdom that helped me heal and the practical ways I learned to apply it in everyday life. Because wisdom only becomes transformative when it's lived. Thank you for joining me today, and until next time, be gentle with yourself, stay curious, keep your heart open, and remember, healing doesn't begin when we have all the answers. It begins when we become willing to ask better questions, and this is the path to wholeness.